So let's sum up Hermes. Hermes is associated with exchange and commerce. The first thing Hermes gives himself is the lyre. Later he can borrow or trade with Apollo. He gives Apollo the lyre in exchange for the cattle. He is associated with merchants and property, where exchanges of goods take place. There's the story about cattle, which in one way of determining wealth. He is a messenger who exchanges information, and he escorts the souls of the dead to the underworld, a sort of exchange of location, realm of Zeus to realm of Hades. He's a good salesman, clever, manipulative, quick talker, and a barterer. Hermes is associated with a herm, setting of boundaries. The pile of stones later become pillars, statues on trails, or in front of houses. A herm, like I said before, was a carved, bearded head on a cylindrical pillar with an erect phallus. Herms were not thought to be a sign of fertility. It was thought to frighten away evil spirits or intruders. In nature, for example, monkeys sit in a circle with erect penises facing outward to guard the group. The gesture means to back off and keep away from this group. There are males here. Today we see this as a little funny, but in Greece in that time, defacing a herm was considered a serious offense. You can imagine how one would deface one of them. Hermes has two children who represent his two sides. There's Autolycus, who was known as a great liar and a feat. Odysseus was his grandson. There are no works of art that I can find that represent Autolycus. There is Pan, who is one half goat and the other half man. Pan is the goat herd's god. He's the son of Hermes and Dryope. Supposedly he was so ugly at birth that his mother ran away. He was known to be lustful. He invented the pan pipe or pan flute. The pan flute uses uneven lengths of reeds joined together. This is similar to how his father, Hermes, made the lyre. Pan is associated with singing, dancing with nymphs, and pastoral scenes in general. When you think of Pan, think of Mr. Tumnus from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in looks, but Pan was not generally portrayed as that nice or shy. Now we have a lame god, Hephaestus, with the Roman name of Vulcan. I still think he's fascinating, but he was known to be lame, which was not a quality that the ancient Greeks thought much of. This god was probably native to the island of Lemnos in the Aegean Sea. Hephaestus's connection to Lemnos is mentioned in the Iliad. Hephaestus reports that he landed there after Zeus threw him from heaven for siding with his mother Hera in a dispute. So even today there are temples of Hephaestus that exist. Hephaestus is associated with volcanoes and the Cyclopes, who work their forges deep within volcanoes. He is a god of the smith, who work with their hands to form metal into beautiful, useful objects, bronze and iron. Bronze is equal to copper plus tin. Greeks prized the beautiful objects but despised the filthy method of making them. The Aristoi despised manual labor, and also lameness and physical ugliness, so they did not like Hephaestus. He was known to have made Pandora from clay. Fire has many assets in ancient Greece. We have Hephaestus, who was associated with the fire in the hearth. Zeus's thunderbolts were thought of as celestial fire, and we have Hephaestus, the fire in a forge. He was given a place among the Olympians, but he was ridiculed. He didn't have proper parents, since he was Hera's but not Zeus's child. One version has it that Zeus caused his lameness, as I mentioned before. Other stories say that it was Hera who threw him from heaven because he was lame and ugly. He returned to heaven drunk to confront his mother, often pictured in works of art. He was married to Aphrodite. It's like the analogy of Beauty and the Beast. Aphrodite later had an affair with the god of war, Ares. And next we do have Ares, or in the Roman tradition, Mars. He is the son of Zeus and Hera. His name appears on the linear bead tablets, so he is a very old god. He wasn't the most popular god. His traits were bloodlust, anger, mercilessness, and fearlessness. He was a warrior. There are a few myths about Ares. The most famous that your book goes over is his affair with Aphrodite. It is a story by Homer in the Odyssey. The story in your book is amusing. From his affair with Aphrodite, there were 4 children: Panic or Phobos, Fear or Deimos, Harmonia, and some say Eros. Others say Eros is primordial, there from the beginning. 2 of the moons of Mars are named after his children, Phobos and Deimos. Hephaestus' trap is an amusing story. The really short version is that Hephaestus suspected his wife was having an affair with Ares, so he decided to set a trap. Using his forge, he made this chain that could not be broken, escaped, or even unfastened. It was so fine that it was almost impossible to see. Hephaestus pretended to go out of town, and of course Ares came over. The chain trapped the 2 lovers, Ares and Aphrodite, in bed. Of course that was not the end of it. Hephaestus invited the other gods to see the pair trapped in bed, and boy did the gods have fun mocking the couple. Interestingly, Poseidon begged for the couple to be released. Be sure to read about that in your textbook. The slide and the previous image brings me to this slide. Many of the best images to illustrate Greek myth come from the frescoes at Pompeii. Being covered in all that volcanic ash for centuries helped to preserve these images. This ends Chapter 8, Myths of Hermes, Pan, Hephaestus, and Ares.